The small town of Georgetown has some big dreams when it comes to attracting tourists. A group of 12 community members has been meeting all winter talking tourism. They're being guided through something called the STEP program, which is funded through ACOA, the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency. A number of other PEI communities have been part of the STEP program since it started in 2012, including Surrey and Tignish. It's also been used by communities across the Maritimes, including Shippagan, New Brunswick, Louisbourg, and Baddeck, Cape Breton, and Fundy National Park. Island Morning's Nancy Russell takes us to Georgetown now to find out more about the town's tourism vision.
Georgetown Port has just bought this piece of property here, which used to be the old Irving gas station. This is a natural place for people to park and to start their little walk around Georgetown.
Tim Mayer sees potential everywhere he looks in Georgetown. He's president of the Georgetown Port Incorporated and a co-chair of the STEP committee.
COA has recognized that in rural Atlantic Canada there's an opportunity for a larger tourism window, and Georgetown applied and got that. So they put us together with a consultant, and we put together a group, and he trains us how to market, how to brand. We have community consultations, we have best practices, missions. This is all a learning curve for our group.
We're going out 5 miles to a deserted island.
This is Perry Guttell talking about the boat tours his company offers to visitors. He's the owner and operator of Tranquility Cove Adventures. 2 years ago, Guttell left fishing after 28 years to move full-time into the tourism business. Guttell is also co-chair of the STEP committee.
Sustainable Tourism Expansion Program is exactly what it is. You're expanding the program of what you already have in your community, trying to find new avenues of revenue for people, new ideas.
The hacks, and we show you how to dig the clams.
I like to consider that we're on a tipping point. Georgetown moved ahead a lot in the last, I'm just going to go 5 to 7 years. The streets here in Georgetown in the summertime, July and August, there's people walking up and down the streets just like you'd see in Charlottetown, and this wasn't seen 5 years ago. So people are just starting to get their eyes opened up to what can happen here.
This is the actual Georgetown Port. Georgetown at one time considered itself the little industrial town. And the shipyard's gone, the timber yard is gone, all we have is a lobster plant left, so those windows seem to be shrinking. So we've always had a beautiful little town. I have a heavily biased here, of course. And so we actually really said, well, let's take a good hard look at this. So in this STEP program, we are not trying to invent some other Georgetown. We are trying to capitalize on its natural assets. And that would be the harbor and the beautiful layout of the town and the history of the town. So, we want people to come to Georgetown and get on the water. I mean, you could do that right now. Anybody could have come and just hung out on the beach and all the rest of it. But if we can open up the window even more and make the access points more readily, people can say, look at that, there's a wharf ready to go, boats. There's always the canoe kayak thing. I'm hoping to open that wider and to go with row vessels and maybe even traditional. I'm a dory builder, go down that road so there's more adventure. We've got a lot of wind here. We always think about, is there a kiteboarding? None of us are kiteboarders, so that would be new for us. But we don't want to change the town. We don't want a water theme park at the end of town. We want to capitalize on what Georgetown's already got.
So the people that are at the table with us, a group of 12, they're people that have a vested interest in tourism in Georgetown. We're trying to put it together that it suits Georgetown. Just like Tim said, we don't want the water park at the end of town, and we're not interested in firing a whole bunch of glitzy stores in here that don't belong, selling products from other countries in the world. We want to keep it local. We want to keep it really cool little town. That's what we're looking to have here.
And then we sail out about 3 miles over towards Palmier Island here.
The Georgetown STEP Committee received more than $38,000 from ACOA and more than $7,000 from the provincial government to get them started. The group held its first community meeting last November, and about 40 people from the town attended.
During our community consultations, we took people's ideas, and there were tons of them, but we also had to sort the wheat from the chaff, sort of thing, okay, is this doable, is this probable? The next thing will be a spatial plan. We're just on the cusp of getting funding to get somebody in here to capture these ideas in the form more or less of a drawing. Now, that's the first step, because that framework, that visual, which is very important for people to be able to see, the townspeople, even financing, all the rest of it, to be able to, this is where we're headed. Then to take each part of those pockets and say, okay, how much is that going to cost? And is it a white elephant? This was very important for us. We don't want to create something that's just going to be a beast. It's just going to slow us down and forever need government funding. We need the funding to get off the ground, absolutely. But ideally, our ideas are ones that will move forward and start to take care of themselves.
What's in a lobster trap?
The Georgetown STEP Committee had a port readiness study done as part of its work. Now the group wants to move forward with plans to turn Georgetown into a destination for small cruise ships. called pocket cruisers.
Port readiness study, paid quite a bit of money for it. They said, look, your port is very ready for pocket cruisers. You've got the infrastructure. The region has all of the assets, all kinds of history tours, great beaches. We've got Botten Island. You just need to knit them together. Like, people will get on buses and go and see your Romas and your Orwell Corners and put that into a tour. They'll go and see the Basin Heads and the Greenwiches and all this kind of thing. This could be a tremendous regional benefit.
As part of their research, the members of the Georgetown STEP Committee traveled to southwest Nova Scotia on a best practices mission. They visited the communities of Lunenburg, Mahone Bay, and Chester.
We weren't really going down there to come back with a duplication of what they were doing. What we were really trying to do was take our group of 12 and let them see what's happening in a community that's really motivated by tourism. To motivate them, to get them to come back to Georgetown, to motivate other people, and to open their eyes to what Georgetown can be in the future.
And so he built the United Church Manse in Georgetown. I'll show you the building here in a moment. So our graduation for the STEP Committee will be in June, and we have to make a presentation to ACOA with our ideas, and they have to sort of look at them and go, okay, that looks reasonable, doable. Then the real work will begin. You know, all of this year is us being brought up to speed on how to do these things. But this is a long-term plan. I mean, some of it's a 15-year plan. Some of it's a 2-year plan. The pocket cruisers, I mean, I don't think we're going to see anything for 2 years because their schedule basically, they book 2 years out. On that tourist front, we're all going to try and move together on the same page. Not separate little entities or separate, the buzzword is silos, separate silos. And that's the aim of ACOA with these tourism programs, is so that we don't have all these little voices. You're all talking to each other and realizing that this is now a priority and this may have to wait a little bit.
It's quite a privilege to get the STEP program offered to Georgetown. Other communities actually are wanting this. They're putting their name in saying, we want this program. And for us to get it this early, we're very pleased with that.
Clam digging, the cookouts, and beachcombing all in one package.
I have the vision for Georgetown. I can see what it can be, so it's really exciting to get other people stirred up and get the vision in their hearts also, in their minds, about Georgetown.
It really is.
For Island Morning, I'm Nancy Russell in Georgetown.
Thank you very much, Nancy. This is Island Morning on 96.1 FM.